Hey, so an interesting story came out. I saw this on PC Gamer here.
Puka Gamer?
PC Gamer.
Pika Gamer.
Gamer. Amazon's Prime Gaming former VP put out a LinkedIn post. It's this long post. Actually, I'm going to click over it right now. It's this long post explaining what they were trying to do. They were trying to disrupt Steam. That was the idea. And according to their numbers, they were 250 times bigger. I'm guessing in terms of profit or just, I don't know, comprehensively. And they did this for, according to him, over 15 years. That was the goal. Was over 15 years, they were trying to figure out how to disrupt Steam. And they failed. I don't have to tell you that. You, Duncan, or you, the listener, or you, the viewer. I don't have to tell you that. They failed. And so, you know...
Another VP openly says it.
Yes.
Which is uncommon.
Yes, he's... Well, so it was actually, like, pretty constructive. He's just like, this is how we failed. This is why. And it's, you know, it's very corporate speak. But it's, like, constructive. And I appreciate opening up about this. And so... The PC Gamer article is opinionated, to say the least.
It's a great article.
It's a good article.
I very much liked it. I highly recommend anyone to read it if you want more details. But the overall idea is that you know, it's just very obvious to anyone watching as to why Amazon wasn't able to disrupt Steam, and that's on account of the fact that they provided a less convenient product.
Yes,
and it had less of the ecosystem that enabled Steam to be so popular.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Steam has basically every game on it that you're looking for. If you're looking for any indies, they're gonna be on Steam. That's where they need to be to matter. They're the platform that games are on, which means you have to break into that in the first place, which is itself very difficult. But then secondarily, Steam is convenient to use.
Yeah.
You don't have to link it with anything or pay any subscription service, which you don't have to use for Amazon's gaming platform either. But, you know, it had fewer things on it. It wasn't convenient to access. It wasn't as functional. And then Steam, as he mentions in the article, it has built-in social media features. You can, I mean, how many games do we play multiplayer through Steam with? Right? Steam connectivity is a huge part of the multiplayer ecosystem inside video games, which you have to make an equally convenient version of for your game. And you need to be able to play with the people you were going to play with anyways, which if they're on Steam and you're not cross-functional with joining people in Steam, that's going to suck. And Steam is not going to voluntarily allow you to just be like, yeah, you can just join game on people who are playing in Steam. That functionality is never going to happen. And then achievements. Steam has an achievement system, as every as Xbox and PlayStation have their version of achievements and trophies. Steam has their version, making them the de facto library of your accomplishments for the PC space. And that's just so much to break into, to break their monopoly. You'd have to be giving such a massive value proposition. And I think the only way to do that is kind of what Epic Games has done in the Epic Store, which is terrible and nobody wants to use, has almost all of its users, I would say, from exclusives and free games.
Free games. Yep.
Free games. Just a ton of free games. And Amazon thought that dumping money in would be their solution, and then they very, very stupidly dumped their money into Luna, which you probably haven't heard about. Like, people out there,
nope.
Luna was like a giga failure of all failures. Most people heard about Luna when hearing about it failing.
And it's the what is Luna? It is a Stadia. What is a Stadia?
It was a Stadia that was releasing when Stadia was failing.
Yep.
When the proof of concept was proving the lack of concept.
Mm-hmm.
They were hopping in with a ton of money.
Yep.
And they mentioned that they're 250 times as large as Valve when it comes to their financial resources. And if you're not putting that into, for one, replicating every single point of functionality that Steam has, and then adding a value proposition on top of it, there's absolutely no reason to use your platform.
And to top all that off, Steam and Valve have a reputation of, especially compared to other corporations in that space, of being people first. Which is valuable.
Steam is the most consumer-friendly company in the video game space. I'd say by far.
Yeah.
When it comes to major companies that actually are the king makers of video games right now, Valve is just the most friendly to consumers that exists, and that is hard to replicate, and Amazon's certainly not going to replicate it. Now, one thing Amazon had going for it is that it was apparently very good to its workers, and they paid talented people well to make games and to do work, but it's not enough if your platform doesn't have everything Steam has and more.
When you are trying to disrupt a market, you better be finding a weakness in the king, in the person leading.
Yeah, and you know what Steam's real weakness is? What these other platforms could do? It's more gambling and more unregulated stock markets. I think that if they really want to become a competitor to Steam, they need to enable you to just bankrupt yourself on their platforms.
So that, I feel like, do you remember like Twitch there was a chance that it was going to get disrupted by Kick, and then Kick didn't happen.
So okay, for one thing, Kick absolutely is still around and huge.
Yes.
And the reason it's still around and huge is because they can afford to lose insane amounts of money, paying hundreds of millions of dollars to gigantic streamers. Some of those popular streamers in the world stream exclusively on Kick. And they do that because they're being paid $150 million plus contracts.
Yes.
And they can do that because they're promoting gambling.
Yep.
Because Kick is run by Stake. Stake is the largest online gambling platform for crypto that exists. And gambling makes an insane amount of money.
Yeah.
It makes so much money that Steam is engaging in it. They just realize how evil it is. It feels like they get how evil this is.
This maybe goes back to Steam is not willing to go into that space.
They just it's so much money they couldn't stop themselves from going into the space of gambling. CS:GO crates, loot crates, they're gambling. Like loot boxes in general are like, yeah, that's gambling, but converting it into an actual financial asset is near impossible. Except for with like CS:GO, where it's really, really easy to convert into a financial asset. You can go buy a $14,000 knife right now. I think the most expensive trade of an individual skin for a Counter-Strike skin was like $3.2 million or something. Are
we money laundering? What is happening?
Yeah, it's just this wild amount of gambling going on in Counter-Strike. People who do not play Counter-Strike gamble Counter-Strike skins. It's such a thing. And there's also a massive unregulated stock market in Team Fortress 2. In Counter-Strike, the gambling is connected to an unregulated stock market, and in Steam trading cards.
Oh yeah, the cards and yep.
That's also an unregulated stock market.
Oh, all I ever get are fucking 2-cent cards, so I just don't pay attention.
Yeah, you don't notice it because you don't engage with it. But the people who do engage with it,
there's something there, huh?
They're gambling.
Okay,
they're stock gambling, the other variety of gambling, and they won't stop because it's putting tens of millions of dollars it's just setting tens of $millions on fire
Yeah.
to stop doing it. And because people who are doing it will be mad at them. So the only thing they will get is some like kudos from people who understand that it's morally wrong
Yes.
that they're doing it. And then a bunch of pissed off people in the player base that is like huge. Like a huge part of the Counter-Strike community would actually be hugely pissed if they couldn't open crates because they love the Gamba.
Right.
It's so fun.
So a perfect time is like set up the infrastructure for Steam but gambling, and then wait for Steam to try and put some sort of ceiling on it.
Yeah. The real disruptor is by setting up an exact copy of Steam, but you just really turn up the amount of unregulated gambling.
Turn that knob. Oh boy.
And you promote the shit out of it. I mean, like, you go on your front page of your store page and there is a fucking slot machine right there on the left that gives you like fun bucks points, or like just something. You're getting cards, you're getting little collectibles that pop out of the literal slot machine on your store page. It's one-click purchases, and then they're making just hundreds of millions of dollars off of this. Jesus. And then you can compete with Steam.
Oh, that's a terrifying nightmare. We have. I pulled this story up to talk about, man, Steam and Valve, but we have now twice gone into dystopian video game nightmares.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
we live in the dystopian video game reality.
That's why we pull up the Steam. That's why Super Gamecraft has this new theme. Is we've recognized that in just working, just game development and that business. But then there's also the consumer end too, and we can see how that might end up. Hopefully no one high up saw this video.